we used to be able to get this and this and this and this back in our high tax state. So we wanted here. Well, the reason why you have a lot of taxes in your state is because you're asking for stupid stuff like that. So we don't do that here. Speaking of high taxes, I noticed that we have Kucinich has officially entered the race. Now, I got to tell you, I know something about his record, and he's got a lot like Governor Walker. He's got a lot of accomplishment being in the state house, being governor of the state of Ohio. He's got a lot of accomplishment in Washington D.C. I'll give him that credit. But you know what? The man's a bore fest. He's a I listened to parts of his speech, and I'm like, oh. I mean, I fully understand that he's a person that might be able to get the job done as far as domestic policy is concerned. But there's nothing intimidating. There's nothing. I'm not saying I would not support him. I'm just saying there isn't anything there that shows and proves him to be a dynamic leader that would capture the attention of leaders around the world. And that's what our president needs to do. They need to be able to capture the attention. I don't think that Putin would even give him, a second thought. If he became our, did I say Kasich? I'm sorry. Did I say Kucinich? I meant Kasich. He wouldn't. I don't think he would capture the imagination, quote unquote, of Putin at all. Now, to be frank, I think Putin would take notice of a President Trump. I really think he would. Because he knows it well, as bombastic as Trump may be, Trump is not an idiot, and I think Putin would understand that on short order, and so would the Chinese. But we can't have any more I mean, he's got to raise his game when it comes to that. He's got to be more exciting, at least just to capture the imagination of the people of this country of what he's capable of doing. I know that he won re-election by a landslide in Ohio. He's serving 2 terms in Ohio. I get it. But that's, a mid-size state in the Rust Belt region. That's Ohio. I mean, let's face it. They weren't really running anybody that was overly dynamic in Ohio against them either. So, it is what it is. And I know that there are quite a few, because if you looked at his speech, you saw that there was he had a lot of supporters out there, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people right now who are just chomping at the bit, probably yelling at me through their computer or writing me a nasty email or something like that. Look, I fully understand that he might be your guy. I get it. He's got a lot of he has a lot of accomplishment. That's not up for dispute. It's the truth. But at the same time, he's kind of boring. Now, I don't think that we need a boring person as president. Maybe it was just a bad speech. Well, it's supposed to be his announcement speech, so it's supposed to be a good one. But to me, it wasn't all that good. Some people loved it, but there was a lot of meat there, but it just didn't grab me and keep my attention. So that's important. You've got to be able to grab the voters' attention and keep their attention. And I don't know if he can do that on a national scale for a long period of time. It's one thing to be able to keep the attention of a few million people in the state of Ohio, but 100 million people nationwide, I don't know if he's ready for that, if he's capable of that. We'll see. I just don't, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not saying that I would not support. Maybe after listening to him more, and maybe a couple more speeches that I've seen him give and hear him give, and I might change my mind. But at this particular point, I just don't. I'm not feeling it with him. I'm really not. Now, I like Scott Walker, and he's got similar accomplishments as Kasich, but he's a little bit more dynamic of a speaker. Now, maybe people find Walker boring when he speaks. That's highly possible, and they find Kasich more dynamic. Okay. I don't think so, but okay. I guess that is a possibility. That is plausible. So we can let that go. Hey, we got a lot to cover today. We'll try to get a little bit more into Governor of Ohio, the Ohio governor's announcement in his speech, as well as some stuff on your favorite president, Obama. Well, according to him, he's the greatest president ever. Not Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest. And I dope you. That's what I do. Rope-a-dope. That's what Ali did. Rope-a-dope. So he's in the news. We'll discuss a little bit about that. Plus, you'll never guess who comes to Donald Trump's defense, which is now giving him some play, some airtime. So I might have to, I still say no chance, but I if he keeps this up, I might have to change him from the no chance of getting the nomination to he's got a shot. But there's more Donald Trump news, of course. Mayor of New York City also jumps into the fray with Donald. We'll try to get to that. There's some news about the Clintons. Yeah, and it's not necessarily good. It's Clinton's being given cover once again. And if you're thinking about buying a new car, you really ought to think twice about it. We'll get into why. An older car just might be for you, and we'll get into why a little bit later. But first, let's head out to Los Angeles, California. For those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, that's Los Angeles. Los Angeles, California. There is some other news in California, too, that we'll get to that a little bit. Maybe I should do it now. Let's see if I can find that. No. No. There is a story that I came across earlier today that I saw that I don't have it in my paper pile at the moment. Why isn't it in my paper? I need somebody to handle my paper pile. I really do. So why isn't this story in my paper pile? There is a story out there that some Silicon Valley CEO and entrepreneur is almost nearing the required. I guess they got a ballot initiative or ballot petition, whatever they call it out there in California. He's nearing the number of required signatures to get this question or initiative put on the November 2016 ballot, voting ballot for Californians to vote on. Now, he's proposing to split up the state of California into 6 smaller states. Now, my whole thing with that, I don't intend to live in California, so it really doesn't bother me one way or the other. However, except for the point that there, at least half of the suggested boundaries for states out of the state of California that he is suggesting, half of them couldn't afford to be on their own. Because, much like New York City, the rest of the state props up these places. And propping them up to the point where they don't have to have outlandish. What is this? I just heard, isn't the income tax like 13%? If somebody's out in there in California, I don't know your income tax rate. Did I hear it was 13%? Is that accurate?
just off the top of my head. But he's proposing, that they go into, that they have a ballot initiative on the 2016 ballot, during the election, presidential election, so forth and so forth, to break the state up into 6 smaller states. Now, Northern California might be better off if they did just that, but I don't know about Southern Cal. I don't know if I guess if you made it, because if you made it one state now for Southern Cal, but the names of them are like Jefferson, would be the northernmost state. And then you have West California and South California and North California. Very inventive for California names. I think it's Central California. Oh, and in Silicon Valley would be another state. Silicon Valley. Very, very inventive on the names. I guess, it's just a ballot initiative, so they wouldn't have to actually, they'll probably come up with something more fitting if they were to do that. But anyway, out to Los Angeles, California, which would be a part of, I think it'd be part of West California. Los Angeles would be in West California for the new state. San Diego would be in South California. But Los Angeles would be part of West California if they were to break the state up into 6 smaller states. Police probe death in Los Angeles, California, after they find 1,200 guns. Yes, that's 1,200 guns and 2 tons of ammo from one man's home. Now, that's a bit much. Got to tell you, I believe in, gun advocacy, gun rights, that kind of thing. But really, 1,200, dude? Now, this is just the surface. I'm probably sure that there are some in there that were, collectibles and probably never would be able to fire again and that. But that's counted in that 1,200. So police are investigating the death of a Los Angeles man, uncovered an arsenal inside his home and garage, more than 1,200 guns and about 2 tons of ammunition, authorities said. Now, Los Angeles Police Department Commander Andrew Smith called the number of rifles, pistols, and shotguns staggering. Many had never been fired, and some were still wrapped in boxes with price tags still attached. Our truck couldn't carry it all, so said the Commander Smith told the Los Angeles Times. We had to go back and make another trip. There were no signs of foul play. Police have found no evidence the man, who had not been identified, was involved in any kind of criminal activity. But yet, and still, they're confiscating all his weaponry and his ammunition. Well, he can't use it, Rod. He's passed on. Now, police made the discovery after the man's decomposing body was found in a car down the street from his home in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood. Now, decomposing. How long must he have been there? Nobody noticed? Nobody noticed for a while? I guess we'll just have to see, won't we? We'll have to see what the whole story. Well, they say that there's no foul play involved. There doesn't appear to be any foul play. It's not a crime to have a large number of weapons so long as they were legal to own and legally obtain. Commander Smith noted. We want to make sure that's the case. So they're going to take. It doesn't say if there is any next of kin or anything like that, who knows, it probably has a next of kin that doesn't want to have the guns, or they're, look, 1,200 guns, you could sell those, especially if they haven't had, if they haven't been used or anything. So they're still in the boxes or price tags, might be able to sell them, make a few bucks off the guns. Oh, but it is California, so they probably wouldn't want to give them to his relatives, even if his relatives could legally own all those guns.